The world of talent management is, as you know, a very, very broad subject. So we try to crystallize, try and define, try and narrow the subject through high potentials, specifically how to identify, assess potential, and how do you develop potential. With that, coming to the panelists representing industry, we have Mr. M.T. Lakshmanan, who's the head of talent management and corporate human resources at Larsen & Toubro. Our consulting expert is Mr. Ryan Lowe, who's partner people advisory services at Ernst & Young LLP. We have academia being represented by Dr. R.K. Premrajan, who's professor of organizational behavior area at XLR Jamshedpur, and professor is not with us physically, but we're leveraging technology, and he's going to be joining us through Skype. Very vibrant and young network. The membership fees are flashed there. And I would just want to state the point that HR is at a very exciting phase in its evolution, especially in our country. A lot of smart young professionals, so much to learn, so much to share. This is one platform for all of us to get together, contribute, learn from each other, and I think exciting times. Learned a lot personally through this network, and I would encourage you, we have Mr. Santosh Narkani sitting outside, to go pay him a visit and try out this membership. I'm sure there's lots to gain and very little pain in the entire process. Coming to the masterclass, what we're trying to do here is get a good mix of industry, practitioners, people from the world of consulting, from academia, getting all of these people together. And the dynamic moderator for this evening is a person whose knowledge dwarfs all of us, not just through his knowledge, but quite physically. Vikram Vector, I think Vikram is all of 70, but that's Vikram for today.
Fire the first set of questions to actually the person who's the farthest away from us but the most noticeable. So starting with you, Dr. Prem, my question is really in your experience, and you really have dealt with a lot of us, maybe taught many of us in this classroom here. When you look at high potentials, who are high potentials and how do you identify them?
So, the way we understand the high potential would mean ability to do justice to positions that are at least 2 to 3 levels higher than the current position. I think that would be a kind of a brief manner in which one can look at a high potential.
I'm going to keep relying on my own experience as I speak. And to me, a high potential is somebody who is visible, who makes himself visible. He walks into the room and you know that he is high potential. Every top leader who's gone on to be the CEO, CXO of companies are people whom, when you looked at them 5, 7, 8, 10 years earlier, you knew this guy is going to be there. You knew this guy is going to be, and he is going to be significantly different than the rest. And that's why he will go where he will go.
I would tend to agree with that, but in typical consulting style, I look at 3 A's. Okay, so I would say it is the ability, the agility, and the aspiration, really to go far in an organization. And again, it is visible. It is something that you can really see. There's a spark in such people that you can see when you come into the room.
Frameworks are similar. I think the terminology might be different. So, for example, we look at 4-factor analysis on people. The first one, it's called JARL. So the first one is judgment. For a large company like Reliance, I think if people cannot take decisions, we look for people who can go up 2 levels, who can take decisions, and not people who will push up or upwardly delegate decisions. I think they use different words, but achievement, ability, the drive, the need to go on and do the next thing. Relationships, I think while all of us believe that everything is about process, but still, imagine if you had all had to do this meeting virtually. I don't think we'll build many of the networks or relationships. So again, R is important. And the last one, I don't think I'll talk a lot about, but learning agility. Can virtual assessment centers replace the traditional ones?
I think that given a choice, there is nothing like going the traditional route and having an in-person assessment process. Because the type of nuances that you can pick up, that the assessors can pick up while going through such a process, in my view, are unparalleled. A lot of it can be mimicked through a virtual environment. You can build in certain other interactive elements by people calling in during the course of the center, to be an individual and his or her computer, but an assessor calling in, live feeds on the email, etc. So all of that can be done, but my own belief is that it would still be a much more effective process if you were to do it face to face.
I would tend to think there will be a lot of opportunities wherein virtual assessment would try and replace the traditional assessment center. However, there are certain types of exercises which it will be a little difficult for virtual assessment center to replace.
Very clear, maybe the higher you go in the organization, the more risky it becomes to just use a virtual assessment center. That seems to be the key learning here. How do the old tools, 16PF, etc., compare to the new ones like Hogan, etc.? And more importantly, the question is, what separates a good tool from a great tool?
The traditional psychological tests were constructed not so much keeping in mind the contemporary use of these instruments in terms of its ability to measure hypertension, so on and so forth. Fine. So you can look at it as today these tests which are increasingly becoming popular, such as Hogan or some of the other popular tests like OPQ, so on and so forth. So they are specifically developed keeping in mind these kind of applications, software applications, so on and so forth. I certainly think a good test would be in terms of its validity. When you look at validity, certainly something like a predictive validity is very high for a good psychological test.
So I think the other question around the assessment is really around how early can potential be identified? Suppose a person has joined recently your organization. How early do you think potential can be identified after a person is hired?
50% of the people is what Dr. Prem said, but I would say 80% of the high potential. Generally, most organizations is categorized based on the performance on the job and not really potential, especially line managers with very little knowledge of the ability to perform future next higher roles. And they are a good time to put people through a potential assessment will be at least 1 year after the person has been able to settle down in his job and be able to perform.
I think informally we start assessing people on potential as soon as they come. There is this inherent, trait in all of us where we try and slot people. Right? So we've got 10 people joining us as a fresh group, and immediately we say that I think these 2 or 3 people are going to make it big. I think earliest 1 year. My sense is 4 years probably into the job is when you start, identifying really some of the hypos in a more formal manner. And of course, this is probably true for organizations that are well established, mature, etc.
Some time back, at least a couple of years ago, there used to be this notion that 2 performance cycles and 2 bosses. So that was the notion that the person has consistently performed twice. It's not a flash in the pan from a performance perspective, and 2 people have observed, which means you have that much more validity. Do you kind of agree with that 2 by 2 recommendation?
I think it certainly makes sense. I would still like to put it as, probably 2 bosses certainly. So, probably 4 performance cycles.
The question is, which is a better predictor of success, IQ or EQ?
Requirement, but relatively speaking, certainly EQ would be a better predictor of
we need to move quickly and cover some of the developmental aspects. So the question here, which is I think a very interesting question, is we are all moving into, of course, instant noodles are banned, but instant development is not. So I think, are there some new models on faster ways of developing iPods internally?
So clients today are actually coming and telling us that, okay, how can you help us develop people on ensuring that they are able to deliver better outcomes to the firm in a 1-year period. So it's more about very focused development interventions, understand the role the employee or the iPod is into today, understand what is it that will make a difference to getting to that outcome, and then putting in place certain interventions that are focused around a 3 to 6 month period wherein you try and up the employees. Something fairly new that we've been hearing, which is to say that, okay, how do we do things quickly, how do we get impact on the ground and more ROI out of our development efforts?
I think, yes, you can have modules to deliver training programs, or modules to deliver development. As they say, you can take the fast to the water, but at the end of it, the fast has to think. At the end of it, the individual has to imbibe everything. And there, I think, I haven't found the standard success formula.
When we look at organizations putting a lot of money on the high potentials, right? And the high potential guys of the entire limelight, they get a lot of learnings, they get a lot of new projects to work on. Is the organization not doing injustice to all the other people who are not probably getting the same kind of opportunities to grow themselves?
We don't live in a socialist world anymore, okay? And I think given the war for talent that is there, we do need to place our bets, and also we don't have enough of unlimited resources that we can spread around, developing everyone. So yes, there is a certain amount of development that is targeted at, the general, the significant contributors, but there will always, in my view, need to be that differential focus on iPods or whatever you want to call it, a smaller section of your population who is going to give you that, that steep vertical growth.
Talking about L&D, I have high performers who go through a potential assessment. Some of them clear the assessment, they become part of the corporate pool, corporate budget. And there's a significant amount of leadership development programs that they conducted. They're treated like stars. They get significant visibility. They are kings. But the rest of the people go back to my various businesses, and there they are going through another development program with them. They will again come back to the assessment center maybe after a year, maybe after 2 years. So, to my mind, large conglomerates still have a sizable budget and still are willing to invest. The question in my mind is, are people willing to invest their own time to go through the development process, especially in large organizations?
So I really want to know the validity of assessment center for recognizing the high potentials of the company. At the end of the day, it's a true picture or a true situation is not presented in front of a candidate. So how do you really understand that that particular candidate is the right fit and is the right high potential of a company?
See, I think there are multiple tools that you can use, of which I think it's proven, it's with data that the validity of an assessment center is somewhere around 0.6, 0.7. So if you look at what an assessment center does, as you rightly said, it comes to as close a simulation of a real life situation as is possible. You've got a set, you put the individual through a multitude of tools and situations that mimic the challenges that he or she would face as part of their real jobs. So there is a mix of individual exercises which test analytical ability. There is a mix of group exercises. There are role plays with customers, employees, etc. Now, no taking away from the fact that none of this is real, but it is as close to real as you can get to in such an environment. But I also think that if you design it right and over the period of a day, I think it's very difficult for an individual to break through it. That's why your design builds in certain redundancies of sorts, so the same competency is being tested by different tools, etc. So again, you're trying to minimize some of the issues that you spoke about, but it's not fully enough.
When you're typically trying to design an assessment center and put some instruments in place, some psychometrics, what would be the purpose of those instruments? What would you try and get them to tell you about the person over and above the case management simulations that you have?
It's about, so again, depending on the competency model and the level of, the level at which we're running the assessments, I would probably say that a psychometric gives you some view about what any psychometric will give you, the predispositions of the individual in a work environment. And then what you can do through the assessment center, through the other exercises of the assessment center, is also to look at what sort of alignment there is between what has come out of the psychometric, which is a self-assessment at the end of the day, and what is observed in terms of observable behaviors through the other,
I just wanted to ask, once we assess our hypothesis, and we know that these are the set of people who are hypotheses, what if we start writing? What are the ways and means in which we can maintain that?
And let me add one question to it, which is the favorite one. Should we tell them?
From an L&D perspective, it works outstandingly well. I look at my attrition metrics of my top performers, it's almost zero. And that is possible because of the way we have aligned a whole host of connections. Once you are a top performer, obviously we don't communicate to them that you are a top performer, one. But he knows it because he is getting visibility, because he's getting nominated to INSEAD program, or he's getting nominated to some Harvard, or he's getting nominated to some other program. When the director is in town, he's called, and a few people are called, their families have data. So he knows he's a top performer.
I think a lot of clients ask me this question, so what if I develop my people and they leave? And I think the answer that I always give them is, what if you don't and they stay? So you're left with a bunch of fairly average people with, some of them may still shine, but a lot of them will not.
There are three principles. Whenever there is high attrition in high potential and high performance, one of the three things are broken. One is either the compensation is not really hugely different, which means there is a marginal difference, and that's the point which Lax alluded to. Second is the accelerated growth. If you haven't you've seen a person as she has potential for 2 jumps, but you are hesitant to give that 2 jumps, means that process is broken. Really, there is no accelerated growth. And the third obviously is learning opportunities, visibility opportunities. So one of those three is certainly missing wherever the attrition is high.
This hypo exercise can be done without assessment center. Second is risk develop employee according to your experience. Call it hypo exercise. Let's say middle level, junior level, or senior level, whatever, the way you want to break up.
Can you identify high potential without an assessment center? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. And so it's generally industry specific, I would say. And if you're working for manufacturing, voltage, then you're looking for identifying people with at least 5 to 12 years of domain experience, 5 to 12 years range. If somebody's got a domain experience in that particular manufacturing process, that's where you will start. But if you're looking at IT industry, or if you're looking at new age industry, then you're looking at much lesser experience. You're not looking at too much domain, and so you will look at people with at least 1 year. That's what we said earlier, and maybe 2 to 3 years of experience before you put them through a
What are some of the best practices that you have seen where companies link sort of assessment centers and then take it up to succession planning and some of the other processes?
Yes, so I think it's very important that the entire process gets integrated. So you start, of course, with your identification of your critical roles, and what we've seen a lot of organizations now doing is preparing success profiles for those specific roles. So what are those competencies that are required for that specific role, and what's it going to, and then basis that success profile, do very targeted assessments at people at the next level, who either next level or 2 levels down, who they think will fit those profiles. So there is one level of judgment call, I'll say, that happens, to identify the talent pool for those roles. But then the assessment process is very, very customized to those success profiles. First, identify gaps and then build the development process, which could even be things like job rotations and or an action learning project. But that's action learning projects generally happen a little lower down in the hierarchy. At that level, it's typically some sort of sensitization. In some cases, some coaching, executive coaching as well, that is given to accelerate the development of that.
As doing a hypo identification without an assessment set. So can one of you throw a little more light on how we could do about that? And second thing is, I'm talking from a small company perspective. Most of you are referring to huge organizations with a low attrition. So even if we do identify high potential individuals, how do we face the challenge of offering them a growth pattern, or how do we channelize them, keep them focused in the organization, because we may not have positions for all of them?
I would say tell them, but it depends. The answer is it depends. It depends on the company, it depends on the sector, it depends on your own company culture. So a whole host of other things gets into it. Theoretically, answer in today's world, I'll say tell them.
But also remember to tell them that this is not a permanent visa. It's a Schengen visa for 1 year and it might be revalidated next year. Your first question, most cases, and I think Lax alluded to that earlier, that 60% of the companies still today look at performance as a surrogate of potential. And therefore, and nothing wrong with that, because if you remember, and this is my favorite, Sachin Tendulkar and Vinod Kambli at one point in time had the same potential. And yet today, we know the difference. One came through a solid performance route, the other had strong potential, but somewhere along the lines just fell by the side. So I think performance still continues to be a strong, so you can do measurement of potential through a solid performance.
Basically, what many organizations do through the talent review forum. So bring in the performance, which is through your performance management system. And then a group of senior leaders get together and discuss each of these individuals. So differing points of view are put forward. Some organizations can bring other data like a psychometric or a 360, but it's not necessary for the talent review forum to take cognizance of that data.
In that situation, I have a lot of high potential guys, but my business is not growing. So my wage bill is increasing, my margins are getting eroded because if I'm going to retain them, I'm going to be paying them more. And can I afford is the question. So I think you have to find a sweet spot where the number of high potentials you've identified are people to whom you can develop and give them higher roles. And if you can't, then you're going to lose them.
One is really clearly what Lax is saying. Remember, what does McKinsey do? They make a virtue out of the fact that we have given away, gifted so many CEOs to the industry. What does Levers do? So it's the leadership factory. So for all you know, you might have a potential of being that for your industry. The path is really through volunteerism. Today we find, in fact my experiences working with Deloitte was when we were not able to give a lot of leadership experiences to people within, we were able to give them outside. When you're doing CSR projects, I find in fact many people take on hugely challenging roles when you're doing a lot of voluntary activity in service of the community, in service of other things. That's the second opportunity. The third is at any point each of our companies is struggling with some fire or the other, which is keeping the CEO awake. Many times I've just put the EC together, the MD and the ECs together saying, hey, what are you struggling with? Can these high potentials do something for you? Work with you especially on these special projects? Perhaps any one of some of those three.
Are the high performers, the high
the organization, or how do you differentiate between the high performers and the high potentials?
Find actually people in teams that are very, very high performers, but they're great performers at that level. And the moment they get put into a next level role, they tend to somehow not demonstrate that level of performance. So that's where the difference can actually come into play, in terms between performance and potential. And yes, we can help prepare for those new roles by helping build some of those competencies, but it's not always, the same thing, performance and potential. And you find this a lot in sales. So great sales guys doing a great individual contributor role, the moment they're put into the next level where they have to manage a team and not do things they were doing earlier, it becomes a challenge. Because they're so used to it, you've heard the phrase, right? What got you here won't get you there. So I think that's really where this discussion is coming from.
When we hire people to the organization, so should we hire on the basis of potential or competence?
We all know that there is no course even in HR which teaches you how to do interviews. We all know HR strategy, but we are never taught how to interview. We are never taught how to. We are certainly taught assessment. So I think when you look at the MBA curriculum, or there is more futuristic kind of work. But even a course on Excel, how to do an Excel spreadsheet and calculate a few things on if you're going to work in compensation, is never really taught. You learn on the job. So therefore, to answer your question, I would rely on my own company systems to train you, but certainly hire for potential.
Maybe any one of you could tell us the typical definition, a lay definition of fitment, readiness, potential. How do we differentiate these, and how do we ensure that this movement can be made seamless without attriting performance?
Assessing readiness is a tough one. I think, as you said, you do the potential assessment. You say that, okay, this person is ready in 3 years, ready in 2 years, whatever it is. I think the key, I'm still not sure how you get to that answer, first of all. But once you do that, I think the next part, which is incumbent on the HR team, is to ensure that the person actually is ready in that time period. So I think charting out that journey, if the planning is done right, then that journey will also culminate in that person actually taking over that specific role. So I think as long as you show that journey to the individual, and that then gets culminated into actual, actually doing what was promised, I don't think that should be a problem.
We are far more willing to accept and even sometimes get enamored by a candidate from outside. But to our internal candidates, we want the person to be absolutely ready. That absolute readiness doesn't happen. And so I think that is a challenge. I think the biggest war for talent is right now being fought on the campus. How many of you returned empty-handed from campuses? Through the summer training process. Be candid. You had targets of X, but you came back with X minus. Yeah. So some of us are so why? So the challenge really is startups, and I think that's really where startups are willing to give people a position even when the person is half ready. The challenge for large corporations is, please don't wait for the full ripeness of the person to place him or her into that role. Because otherwise a large part of this challenge is continuing to move towards startups for that very reason. They're getting challenging roles early on, and I think that's really a large call to action for us in large corporations, and not even so large corporations, because startups really are providing that little energy for people to come and experience action at an early stage.